Hey Steph, today is Friday. I decided to talk today a little bit about what toilets and skyscrapers have in common. Do you know where the water you drink every day comes from? The water in the shower and the toilet. If it's tap water, then it's probably had a longer journey than you'd think. I got started thinking about this, imagining where the water in my building comes from. I work on the 13th floor of a 21-story building. All the way up there. I was taking a drink at a fountain and it got me wondering. Think about it. Barring building floods from a clogged toilet or a burst pipe, when was the last time water in a skyscraper didn't work invisibly? How do they get all that water up 200 feet in the air, or even thousands of feet up like in the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building? You need water to drink, for humidity in the building, for toilets, for showers, for cleaning, all these kinds of things. Where does it all come from? This isn't a small amount of water we're talking about. So I did a bit of research on the topic and I came up with a few interesting facts. Typically water pressure from municipal supplies, so like here in Ottawa, come from water towers. I looked it up and there are 4 big water towers in Ottawa, but typically these only give you pressures up to about 50 feet in the air or about 5 stories. So that's really not enough to get you to the top of a skyscraper. And these water towers only work because they actually store all this water typically about 50 meters up in the air anyways. So my question is, how do buildings that are taller than 50 meters get water at the top of the building with pressure? The answer to this question is as simple as it is genius. Basically, each separate building has its own water supply. You can find it in a water tower on top of the building. In old buildings like you'd see in New York, I noticed them in like the Spider-Man movie, for instance. In old movies, you can sometimes catch a glimpse of these water towers sitting on the top of a building. But these days, modern buildings, they're just built into the building when they're building it. Every tall building actually has water tanks, at least one, if not several, all the way right at the top of the building to supply water to all the floors. And actually, most buildings actually have water tanks every few stories, about every 5 stories, basically to make sure that the water pressure you're getting isn't too high. If the water is too high above where you are, then it's just going to come out like a fire hose, and you don't want that either. So they have water tanks every few stories. And so the building uses a series of pumps at each of these levels that keeps the water moving upwards through the course of the day and through the night especially, keeping these water tanks full so that you'll always have some in there to keep pressure on the taps. That also means that no single pump has to work too hard, and so the strain on the system is minimum overall. So I bet you're wondering, what does this have to do with toilets? Well, basically, toilets do the same thing, although it's on a much smaller scale, obviously. Modern toilets pump a flush's worth of water up above into the water tank, and basically then when you need it, you flush it and gravity takes the water away, fills the bowl up. So I hope the next time you look at a downtown skyline, you'll think about where the water we drink and use comes from, how it gets to where we are, and how we get rid of it. Don't even get me started about the lengths we go through to keep this water clean throughout this whole process. That's a whole other story. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.